St. George may look like one fairly uniform city online, but the type of home, your lifestyle, your neighborhood can vary drastically depending on which part of the city you choose. So in this video, I'm taking you through the entire city of St. George and St. George only. We're going to go downtown to the central part of St. George. We're going to cover the east and west sides of St. George, from Foremaster and Red Cliffs to Sunbrook, Green Valley. We're going to talk about Entrada and the ledges along the Snow Canyon corridor, dive into Little Valley, Hidden Valley, Desert Hills, and Stonecliff, Bloomington Hills, and SunRiver. Of course, we'll cover Desert Color, and then out by the airport in the greater St. George area where there's a lot of growth happening. We're not just going to talk about these cities, but also talk about what homes are actually selling for straight from the MLS, how much negotiating room buyers have, schools, HOA considerations, short-term rental restrictions, and what buyers commonly overlook when considering making an offer. I've also included some chapters in the timeline in case you want to skip to this specific area of St. George. Just so you know who I am, my name is Dallin Hales. I'm a Southern Utah realtor. I do this full-time every day. I love it. I get to meet awesome people like you. Whether you're looking to move to St. George in the next couple months or a couple years, I would love to hear from you and any questions that you have. Feel free to call me or text me at this number. It is actually my number and I will respond to you. Let's begin in downtown and central St. George. This part of the city offers a very different environment than the newer master planned developments. You're more likely to find older construction homes, including some historic homes, established streets, a lot of mature landscaping, and a big mixture of architectural designs. It's easier to access business parks, retail shops, restaurants, parks, Utah Tech University, and several on-ramps to the freeway. Some properties have been completely remodeled. Others have their original floor plans, which gives the buyer a unique situation because if you look at an older home, you're going to definitely want to consider the roof age, the HVAC, got to look at the plumbing, the windows, and any additions. So do you want an established neighborhood with established homes? Downtown and central St. George would be a great area to look into. If you know anyone thinking about moving down here or just has questions about down here, feel free to give them my number or share with them this video. Now we'll jump over to Foremaster in the Red Cliffs area. Over here, you will find access to the freeway, hospitality, medical facilities, including the main hospital from IHC down here, and a lot of shopping. The housing is mixed. There's areas like Foremaster, Morningside, and other places down here where you can find single family homes, townhomes, condos, and a little bit of newer development. Just above the hospital, you'll find a great area of some awesome homes that have a phenomenal view. If views are important and you want to overlook St. George, this is a great area to look into. If you like to be more central towards shops and hospitality, restaurants, retail, and the hospital, this is a great area for you. This is a higher traffic area, especially in the mornings or in the evenings around 5 o'clock when people are going to and from work. It can get pretty busy. Up top above the hospital, you're more tucked away and you can avoid some of that heavy traffic. Now let's head over to Green Valley and Sunbrook area. Green Valley includes a mixture of homes as well. You do have some established homes. There are some townhomes. There's some resort-oriented properties and communities with different HOA structures. You obviously have Sunbrook Golf Course, which is a very common golf course here in St. George, and you have the homes surrounding it and living on the golf course. For example, Southgate offers some great homes along the golf course. Divario is a newer development in this area on the western side of the city. Whether it's over here and regardless of which part of St. George, if the home is a little bit cheaper, it's important to look at HOA costs because that may play a big factor into your monthly expenses. There's also some new retail and restaurants going up over here off of Dixie, and there's also amenities such as Thunder Junction Park, which is great for the kids. Now, if we go to the more northern part of St. George, we can find places like Entrada and the Ledges. Entrada is located off of Snow Canyon Parkway, and the Ledges is up Highway 18. These areas is where you'll find some of the most recognizable red rock Southern Utah has to offer. You'll also find more gated communities, more established homes. You'll find a lot of single-story homes, not as many little kids running around, smaller, low-maintenance homes with more zero-scape landscape, luxury residences overall, and some high-end custom builds. You have some great walking paths in this area, and the scenery is a large part of the value. So if scenery is important to you, these are great areas to check out. And if you head up the highway up to the Ledges, it is a great place if you love golf and want to live on the golf course, or if you liked gated communities, there's the Westgate that's more secluded from the main traffic. The Ledges also has that gorgeous red rock and white rock that a lot of people love and would love to live nearby. And while most of St. George has a stunning view of the mountains or red rock, the Ledges has a very stunning view of the red rock and white rock. And while there is some new construction up here, you want to make sure you take into consideration if there's an empty lot next door, there's probably going to be a house there, and how much will it block your view. Now let's dive into Little Valley, Hidden Valley, Desert Hills, and the Stone Cliff area. Little Valley is tucked in close to a ridge where you find the airport on the other side. You'll find mostly detached homes, a lot of parks, and subdivisions offering different sized lots and garages. However, not every part of Little Valley has a large lot. There's some more traditional neighborhoods in Little Valley, and overall it's a great area for kids. And it's hard to talk about Little Valley without bringing up pickleball because it's one of the biggest areas in southern Utah for pickleball. Desert Hills and Hidden Valley also have a lot of detached single family homes with some newer development coming in. Stone Cliff is a little bit different with more gated communities, higher end properties in an elevated setting. In Southeast St. George in the Little Valley area, you're a little further from the freeway in Little Valley. You're a little further from some of the main shopping. You need to look into topography, school boundaries, and drainage, and all of the underdeveloped property surrounding you. There's some exciting developments such as the Paseo, which is going to bring a lot of shopping and experiences to the Little Valley area. A little farther south, we'll find Bloomington Hills, which offers a mixture of more established homes, remodeled properties, golf area housing, and different lot sizes. The streets are more mature, there's some mature landscaping, and it's a very convenient place for access to different parts of the city. Important things to look at in Bloomington Hills is the age of the property, renovation history, overall lot condition, drainage, is it in a FEMA flood zone, golf course proximity, and access to major roads. A more established property will probably have more space in between homes compared to some newer developments. The trade-off may be an older roof, older HVAC, which are all things to consider in the negotiation. Now we can hop over to SunRiver, which is a age-required community. A lot of people move to SunRiver to retire. It's a great retirement community, and I've talked to several people that have moved here and love it. You also will find homes that aren't super expensive, often in the $400,000 to $500,000. Considering in a house in SunRiver, it's important to go over HOA, what maintenance is included. If you're retiring here, maybe you don't want to have to worry about maintenance. What amenities are included, guest and occupancy rules, garage size, and how you expect to use the property over the next few years. Now we can jump over to Desert Color. Desert Color is one of the most recognizable areas in St. George. It offers a master plan development with a mixture of detached homes, townhomes, beachfront properties, amenities, trails, clubhouse, and a lot of continuing commercial and residential development. The experience in Desert Color is very different than Little Valley or Bloomington or most places in St. George. Buyers interested in Desert Color, whether an investment, second home, or primary home, it's important to check the HOA because HOA largely varies depending on which part of Desert Color you are in. Short-term rental eligible homes in Desert Color can start in the $400s to $500s, but you can also buy a small condo if you don't want to rent it out in the high $2s. One of the trade-offs for this area is that there's active construction, a lot of commercial development, and it will probably get more busy, but if you love the lagoon, you want a beachfront property, Desert Color is definitely worth checking out. Now we can head down to the airport, Desert Canyons, and Southern Parkway, and the Southern Parkway growth corridor. There's a lot happening out here, and I've known several people that have lived out here. This area feels a little bit more removed from St. George. You're just a few streets over from the Highway 7, so you have relatively quick access to most things like Costco and Walmart. As of now, there's continuing developments at least until 2027. There's also some awesome trail developments happening. Because it's a more secluded area from St. George, you could have a lot of development happening around you, so there may be heavy equipment or machinery by you for the next several years. However, these houses are very nice, they're new, and I've heard great things about the neighborhood down here. If you want to be close to the airport, this is a great place to consider. Now let's talk about house prices. The median St. George sold price was $515,000. The median property had 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, about 2,000 square feet, and sold at about $259 per square foot. The next question is, how much can I negotiate in an offer in St. George? The median property took 53 days to sell. The median home sold for about 98.5% of the final price, but it sold for about 96% of the original asking price. The median price change was a reduction of $25,000 or about 4.5%. Properties selling within their first 30 days averaged about 98.4% of their asking price. Properties that were on the market for over 120 days averaged closer to 90% of the original asking price. In regards to schools, St. George is served by the Washington County School District. If you're looking for the best schools for your kids, or you want to go to specific schools, then school boundaries is a very crucial part of your due diligence. Boundaries change all the time, as you know, so it's important to verify it, and that's something we can do before putting in an offer. Now, when it comes to short-term rental restrictions, it's kind of confusing for a lot of people because there's a lot of Airbnbs in St. George. So you would think that you could list any home on Airbnb, but that's actually not the case. The city currently only allows short-term rentals in designated areas, and rentals shorter than 28 days are currently not allowed in single-family homes, unless properly zoned for short-term rentals. In addition to the city restrictions, it also depends on the HOA. Now, there's a lot of people that list their home on Airbnb even though they're technically not supposed to. Looking for a primary home is quite different than a short-term rental. But whether it's a primary home or a short-term rental, I'm happy to do my best to try to find one for you. Here's some things that St. George buyers sometimes overlook. I recommend looking into more than just floor plans and finishes. I would make sure, and we would do this together, of looking over HOA documents such as the CC&Rs. Don't overlook any monthly dues or ownership transfer amount. In that HOA document, we got to look at parking, rental rules, occupancy rules, landscaping requirements, if any, pet provisions, do they allow dogs? How many do they allow? Amenity access, is there a clubhouse? Or you may not want HOA at all. We need to look if it's in a flood zone or is affected by blue clay. We need to look at the land surrounding the property. Is any of it undeveloped? Who owns the land? Is it BLM land? Is it owned by the state of Utah? Or is it owned by a construction company? Which direction does your house face? Are you going to spend a lot of time in the backyard in the evenings? Or are you going to spend time in the front yard in the mornings? And of course, the listing history is a huge part of negotiations. If you still don't know which part of St. George to go to, maybe this will help you out. If you want an established setting, central access, mature landscape, and you're comfortable with evaluating older construction, then I would go towards Central St. George or downtown St. George. If you want to be more on the west side, maybe you love golf, you do like some newer developments, different level of HOA, you do want an HOA of some kind because you like the commonality and the neatness of the neighborhood, then I would look at Green Valley, Sunbrook, Southgate, or Divario. If you're moving down here for the gorgeous red rocks, the gorgeous white rocks, you want a gated community, maybe you love golf, you love views, and you want a lower maintenance property, then I would look at the Ledges or the Entrada area. If you like newer, detached single-family homes, different lot sizes, lots of parks for the kids, in a suburban style neighborhood, I would look at Little Valley, Desert Hills, and Hidden Valley. If you like established streets, mature properties, different lot configurations where they're not all the same size, and good access to southern and central St. George, then I would look into Bloomington Hills. If you want a age-specific community, or maybe you're looking to retire, I would look at SunRiver. If you like newer construction, master planned amenities, attached and detached options, single-family homes and townhomes, and you're comfortable with living in a developing area, and you want to be close to a beach and a lagoon, I would look at Desert Color. If you want to be a little removed, but part of a nice and new development, and you want to be close to the airport, then I would look at the greater St. George area just south of the airport. So as you can see, St. George is not a uniform area. Different parts of it are very different from each other. Go ahead and click the link in the description to start searching for homes or book a call with me if you have any questions. Enjoy this next video, and I'll see you in the next one.